into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ooh, get like the dance music going here. Woo! Start it right off here.
Get that beat. Yeah.
I love it. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Scott Moore, and I've made my triumphant return from last season, you might remember. And
Yay.
to my left, your right. Think about it for a second.
I'm Blake McIver.
Yay, Blake is back after an amazing job you guys did last week.
Thanks. We had fun, but we missed you.
I know, freaking work having to get in the way. It's so overrated, everybody. Work is so overrated, and I'm gonna have to disappear again for a couple weeks. But I'm here tonight, and that's what matters.
Here we are.
And we had a great second episode of the second season today.
Really
looking
great.
for results. I'm just loving the way this show is developing in the sophomore season. What do you think?
I love the tone of this show. I love how real it is. I love how immediate it is. I love how it's not showy. It's not over the top. And I feel like that tone, we've really got a nice consistency going. And I feel like they've really hit their stride in season 2.
I do too. And it's great, again, that we have 10 episodes this season as opposed to 8 last season, because I felt like we barely got into anything before it already wrapped up.
Yeah. It was over so quickly.
Yeah. It was like, it just started and then it was like, okay, we hardly knew you. And then you were gone. But I love... I love Patrick just because his authenticity, like you were saying. It's so great to see like the real character really trying to find himself, and it just feels like any one of your friends that's trying to figure stuff out, trying to figure out life, and is making mistakes, but is trying to do the right thing. Yes. And that's how I feel with him, is like you want to read along with him, even though, he might be making some mistakes, but he's a good guy and he's wanting to do what's right.
Right. He probably wants to do what's right even too much.
Exactly.
Because he's beating himself up constantly.
Exactly.
But we all kind of do that.
No,
so
we all do that.
It.
But that's what I love, is that you can relate to what he's going through so genuinely, and it's really good. And again, like you're saying, we're getting into these deeper layers of these characters we didn't get the chance to really get to in last season, because it went so fast. So we basically open up in this episode with Patrick and Kevin in bed
again.
Yes,
naked.
The morning after which, by the way, I love the first episode's music.
Yes.
I don't even know if you... I think you guys might have talked about it a little bit, but I loved it so much. I actually downloaded some of the songs again because I'm like, it's such good music. But here we are again with them opening up from the night before, from the first episode. There they are in bed, and he ends up talking about... what was Kevin talking about? Top Trumps? The
card game.
The British card game?
Yes. After he was talking about Take That, which was very exciting.
So it was fun to kind of bring that up too, and they had this whole moment, and... Patrick wants Kevin to do that dance,
right?
That he wouldn't really do, but kind of partly did it. But it was just cute to see them have that interaction, the morning after.
It was so real. It was so like awkward after sex talk. Like it was just so natural and bizarrely real and accurate.
Oh my God, yeah, it was interesting. And then you just kind of followed them as they went in to work. They were riding on the BART. They're going on public transportation back to the office, and they're continuing this conversation about the card game. And then Patrick was like, well, why don't we do a gay version for...
Let's make an app.
Right. Now it's like all of a sudden he's coming up with all these other ideas. So it was interesting to kind of see that.
Well, what's weird about their relationship is that it's so lovely when they're together, but then there's always a moment. There's always a moment where you realize, oh crap, this is really bad, and this is really toxic for both of them. And it's so easy to get seduced by the natural chemistry, and then it's like, oh, but this is not going to end happy. We know this isn't going to end happy.
Exactly. Like you brought up a good point, because that's what I was going to get into later, is the fact that it feels really good when you're watching it, and you're like, oh, they have this natural chemistry, but we know there's definitely more to that, and it's just unhealthy on so many levels. But yeah, so we basically have that, and then we move on, with him basically admitting, Patrick basically admitting to Kevin that he's told his closest friends about them.
Right.
you know,
which shouldn't have been a shock, because don't we all?
Right. Exactly. It's sort of like unfair for Kevin to expect Patrick not to, you know, talk about this amongst his closest friends.
Right.
Like, you're going to want that support. And it's unfair for him to basically have his cake and eat it too here.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you don't get to pick.
Right. It's like, you can't just say, okay, I have the boyfriend and we're going to have our little fun on the side, but then you can't tell anyone. Like, that's unfair. So he has to expect that that's going to happen. So, I mean, understandably, I can imagine he's freaking out, of course, because he's, you know, blatantly having the side dish with, you know, on his boyfriend. But, you know, it's to be expected, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to tell your friends.
Exactly.
This is what your best friends are for.
That's what they're,
You've got to tell them about your exploits. Exactly.
That's why you have those best friends, so they're there to support you and be able to talk about all the stuff that's going on. And, you know, even if they don't agree with you, they're there for you.
Right.
You know, so that was something he admitted to, and I thought, well, you know, again, that's to be expected, and, you know.
But Kevin's paranoia is just the pre-show for Patrick's ultimate paranoia that just gets worse with every scene.
I know, but I know many people like him. And in fact, I'm sort of like that myself if I start thinking about it. You know, thank goodness for anti-anxiety medication.
Right. Amen.
So I understand where Patrick's coming from. Of course, he's a little over the top. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that now, when he goes into the whole thing thinking, you know, first it's bed bugs from the hotel, and he's thinking he has AIDS, and then he's like, you know.
Well, he's hooking up with Kevin in this seedy motel, and then and he throws out just some random a cover story for his coworker, like, oh no, I was at this theater watching this showgirls drag show. Which, first of all, I want to see that production.
I do too.
An all drag showgirls, I would be so in.
I would be right there too, and I would be missing work to see that show.
Amen.
I totally agree with you on that one. I'm
Front
like, let's
center. I was like,
that
wait,
one happen.
It's like, Patrick, good cover story. I'm so in.
And if it is, I need to know about this. I need to look that up because I need to go see that.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right. But then the coworker was like, oh, there's bed bugs in that theater, which then led him to, oh, there's probably bed bugs in this seedy motel that we're hooking up in on our lunch break.
No good. Yeah, that's right. It was their lunch break. I was thinking it was the morning after, but you're right. It was the lunch break.
But it's a bed. It's a step up from the tree.
Right. Because, and that's the other thing too I was going to mention, is the fact that they had talked about it in the first episode. It was like, when are we actually going to hook up in an actual bed? So they finally made that step, I guess.
Right.
This time, where it's no longer like hooking up in the park and the forest and the ground, you know, that now they've moved up to a new level here in the bed.
Relationship goals, baby steps,
affair goals, or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, so, you know, poor Patrick again, kind of mind going overboard, but, you know, he's a creative guy. He's, you know, got a lot going on. So
I totally get it. I can obsess and spin myself up and WebMD myself into any kind of like cancerous.
Absolutely. I was thinking I had something horrible today. You know, like here I was thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna get you. I've got shingles. You know, like I'm already thinking the worst possible scenario. So, you know, I don't know if Ronnie's on the line yet, if he's going to be joining us today or not, but I don't know if he's no Ronnie yet.
Not yet. All right.
Okay, well, you know, Ronnie was on last season with us, and he would call intermittently when he was in New York and available, and he said he was going to call tonight, so hopefully he will. But I don't have my phone on, so I can't check that anymore. But moving on, I mean, I also have to mention, I love the game, what did Patrick want to call it, the stag? Oh, the Fag Stag.
Fag Stag.
Which I thought was a great name for the game.
Straight guys that hang out exclusively with gay friends.
Which is like kind of, I don't know.
Do you have one? Do you have a Fag Stag?
Yeah, I was just saying, I guess I do, because you don't really think about it, but I guess you sort of do, like I do now. Because I was like, wait a minute, maybe back in my day when I was like single and crazy, I had one, and I'm like, no, I do. I've got a few now. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You know, you always think of the fag hag, and I'm like, yeah, I've got
legions of
yeah,
those.
exactly. I've got a whole army. But that's a good one. So I hadn't really thought about that, but I do.
It's a good term.
It's a great term, and I think it's a great thing for this game. I actually want to see if this game's going to actually happen.
Let's hope. Let's hope that Patrick has an idea that actually makes it to fruition.
That's what I was saying. That's going to make it to fruition, because I would like to see that sort of like a thread that kind of maybe towards the end of the season we actually see him come up with something brilliant, and he can finally get some recognition and kind of feel like he can kind of find his place a little bit more.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that this is more than just a little one-off type thing, that we actually learn more about it.
We want the best for you, Patrick.
Yes,
we really do.
We love
care.
Patrick, and we want you to make the right decisions, and you keep messing up, but we still love you.
We love you in spite of your choices.
We do, exactly. We're like your friends there, you know, Dom and Augustine, because that's the whole thing. It's like they're being supportive of him, and he says it in that one scene when they're hanging out together. He basically talks about, he's like, look, I just want your support. I don't need the judgment. I don't need the other stuff. I'll be okay. What do you think about that, though?
Well, when they liken his affair to when they basically call him Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
First 80s reference of the episode. There's another one coming.
Yes. Yes. And I also, in the card game, too, was basically like a throwback with the 80s,
that's
too.
True.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think as far as like the friends pushback? Do you feel like they should be pushing back more? Should they be more judgmental, like, oh, what you're doing is wrong? Or are they just supposed to stand back and be like, we're your friends, we're going to support you even if we don't agree with you, kind of thing?
Well, I think the way that they're portraying both Dom and Augustine is like very authentic and very real and very much like how friends would act. And sometimes you are a little judgy, and sometimes you step over that line, and it's like, oh crap, then it's your life, I shouldn't have said that, and I feel all of those dynamics and those tensions and all of that, and I think that's what's really cool. I think that's what engages me in the scenes with the three of them especially.
Well, and I think with them too is that they all know that they're not perfect either, obviously, and they're trying to figure their stuff out, and they've made mistakes. So it's sort of like, I like the fact that it was like, okay, we get it, we'll be there for you, that kind of thing. So I thought it was, like you said, very authentic and kind of what Patrick as a character, what he needed at that point.
Yes,
because you didn't need the judgy, because he knows himself of it's not the best situation that what he's in right now, but he's in it regardless. So.
Right.
Yeah, so we had that scene, which was great. And then we got to see about, Dom's trying to figure out his new location, I guess, for the pop-up.
Right. The chicken window?
Yes.
The $80,000 chicken window.
I know. I was like, $80,000
I get it, though.
that?
San Francisco.
Right, I know. For, like, a cubby hole.
Even in a bad neighborhood. Like, that's real.
I know. That's where, but I was still, like, dying a little inside. I'm like, $80,000 for that? Like, oh, my God.
And the chicken comes out of here. Yeah. That was my favorite.
Yeah. Another one that I'd like to see them be able to progress on this too, on Dom's storyline, is to be able to kind of see that come to be reality as well.
Yeah. I've loved Dom since the first episode of the series.
I have too.
He's such a cool character and such a real person.
He is. And you want to see him kind of have this dream happen finally after all these years and all these setbacks and everything. So again, this is another thread that I'm hoping will continue through the rest of the season, that we can see that. And what do you think of Dom's relationship with Lynn? Like, how I feel like it's a very good, they're in a good place.
Well, yeah, it's a very postmodern relationship. I mean, this open thing we talked about last week, that it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think we're on a good path with that, because their scene together was very very adorable and very
I love
easy.
Them. Right. I love them, and I really want it to work out.
Yeah.
And I do love the fact that they've got the whole stuff going on together. Oh, do we have Ronnie on now? Oh, we do.
Yay!
Yay! Hello, Ronnie. Are you there?
Hey, Scott. What's up,
Hi.
man?
It's good to have you on.
Oh, my God. I mean, we love talking about the show. McIver, nice to meet you, man.
Hey, good to meet you.
So yeah, welcome
I'm
from
loving the season, but I feel like I like season one slightly a little bit better, and not better, obviously, like you guys said when you open up the show. They caught their stride, but I was wondering if shows now are kind of airing a little bit differently with the whole inception of like Netflix and episodes like Orange is the New Black having so many episodes at consumption. It seems like, I don't know, episodic is just differently now. I don't know. I haven't liked the 2 episodes as much as I did before, but see, episode 2 was pretty good though, I will say.
Yeah. I think we were saying is that we like the fact that their characters have developed a little bit more. We know where they're coming from. We've had the first season to kind of figure that out, and like we're saying, it feels really authentic. It feels real. These feel like real friends that you would have, that you would hang out with, and that is what's really cool. And we were just talking about the whole relationship with Lynn and Dom, and what is your take on that? Because they had this really cute scene. Do we think it's leading to something where somebody's going to end up getting jealous? I mean, because that's basically what we were just kind of talking about, is that it's great they have this open relationship. And I think that is really postmodern, and it's really great to have that open communication if you're going to have that, and it's healthy. But do you think it's leading to sort of a disaster with the relationship, that someone's going to get jealous or someone's going to get hurt?
I mean, it obviously can go that way, but the thing about Dom is, like, I love how he kind of questions himself and second guesses things, and he doesn't know how to address the ex-lover that passed away.
Right.
I think stuff like that is really fun for me to watch Dom. In first season we didn't know where he was going to go. He was the wild guy. He had to evolve. He had to grow up. He had to become 40. I like him with, is it Lynn? Is that Scott Bakula's name? Lynn or Lem? I love that part of the episode, and it's even cool to see Dom say, hey, do you miss him? Is it insensitive for Patrick to talk about AIDS in that way? And I just think it's really cool because you see Scott Bakula's character say one or two sentences and then he switches it right away. Like he doesn't really want to go there, and or he's evolved past it. So we don't really know. I don't know if he's going to get angry at some point or if it's going to be an insecurity that arises on either of them.
Right.
But I like it's made me have a nice charming sensation with Dom. Like I really like to see him feel that way. Like when you watch Dom's character, that he's feeling something, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, and the same thing with Lynn. It's like I loved his interaction. I basically loved he was like, "Did you turn off the lights? Did you fuck anybody?" It's like it's just like going down the list of things, like just the normal thing that somebody would do. Like, and I just love how you kind of threw that in there. So I don't know. What do you think?
Turn off the gas?
Yeah, did you turn off the gas?
Who did you fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Just turn off the lights. Make sure everything's clean. Put away. Yeah, the whole thing with the blanket and
right.
It's like, but it was very nice, and I love Scott Bakula's character so much in this, and I think
he's awesome. He's so awesome in this.
Such a great character. So I really want to see it work out with them. So it's interesting to kind of see their relationship versus Kevin and Patrick right now.
Right.
It's like totally opposite ends of the spectrum. You kind of see, okay, well, maybe their age and their backgrounds and everything have made a difference here of being able to be open and honest and be able to have these type of relationships. What do you guys think?
Here's what full communication looks like versus
here's
what no communication looks like.
And I think that's really great of the writers and the character to be able to show kind of two ends of the spectrum here of these relationships. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
I mean, I think definitely.
Well, do you guys like Kevin with Patrick? Do you guys like that storyline, or are you kind of feeling the way I do, which is like we're urging for Richie to get back in the picture? Like we don't know where that's going to go. I have my thoughts, and we could get to that in a minute, of course. But I don't know that I love Kevin the way he is with Richie. I don't know. It's kind of like, oh, it's hard for me to, Jonathan Groff's character. I'm sorry, Patrick. It's hard for me too. It's like, I don't know. Like this is the first time Patrick is sort of being free. And it's kind of hurting him, or it's going to hurt him, is what I'm feeling.
Oh, yeah. No, he's definitely going to get hurt, and that's sort of what we were kind of alluding to earlier, is like he's definitely going to get hurt. It is totally unhealthy, the way Kevin kind of gets to have his cake and eat it too, and so it is leading up to something that Patrick's going to get hurt. That's just all there is about it. I like their chemistry together. I think we were talking about that. Like when they're together, it's really good. But I do think it's going to end up crashing and burning because I don't know. I don't see any other way of being able to do it because not only are you mixing it in with work, but then where he's sort of the boss, but then you're mixing in when he's got the boyfriends. I mean, it's just too many layers of crazy.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and Patrick's a mess, and all of that is too much crazy. So it's
do you guys know what I thought instantly too with Patrick? He's such like the romantic, hopeless romantic.
Right.
He wants all this. Even when he jumps into a situation where he knows he's just being sort of the side guy and just kind of supposedly having fun, which is not Patrick's way.
No.
But even though he just gets these moments where he looks, into his eyes and is just like, he wants it to be something bigger. And that bus scene reminded me exactly of season 1 when Richie was on the bus.
Exactly.
With Patrick. I don't know. I just was like, oh no. You could tell he was like falling for him, even though he was supposed to not be.
Well, I felt like they were doing that on purpose. I don't know if you guys thought that, the writers were basically kind of setting it up so it kind of was a throwback to season 1 with him with Richie.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so that's how I took it as the same thing.
And the guy in episode 1 that sort of looked like Richie that he met in the woods, like it's just there's definitely he's replaying the relationship big time.
Yes, and I do obviously Richie's gonna be back in. It's just so much of a mess.
Let's talk about how Richie got back in, which is because of the mess that was Augustine in this episode.
Yeah,
just nasty, which I kind of, bravo to the writers to be brave enough to write him into this like big jerk, because we all have our big jerk moments, right? Of course. And he just, from calling Doris a hag to just
he's having his moment right now, sort of his selfish, figuring himself out kind of moment. And, so I get that, but also I like the fact that they made that real, but let's hope that he doesn't make too many bad decisions here because, Richie finding him out in the street, basically like passed out, it was scary.
Just a mess.
Yeah, it's
doing
pretty
drugs.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Just how
and
he
it
ended
goes
up there.
back to what Augustine said last week, when they were out at the river. It's like, hey, this is how you deal with it. This is how I deal with it. And I like the way he called out Patrick. It definitely reminds you of when you watch the episode of Girls and you see Hannah, and it's just like, come on, Hannah, grow up. Patrick, grow up. And he said this comment, Augustine said to Patrick, I just don't have time right now to deal with your world, and it's just... It could possibly, pose, friendship issues between them too. So as much as it's cool to see Augustine sort of try to find his way, which is to be a bad guy, to kind of act out, I don't know where that's going to go between them two. Are they going to have a riff at some point? So, and I like the scene. I like to see Augustine kind of go crazy. I thought he walked into the club. It had this energy even within all of our own lives of where, obviously, Scott, you're not single no more, but just when you're out there just doing your thing and you're kind of lost but also enjoying that lost moment, that's kind of how I took it. I don't know.
Well, and I also took it as a way that sort of like he's sort of has to hit rock bottom and he's got to figure out what that boundary is for him. And so we're seeing him go through that and figure out where that bottom is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I did love that moment.
I wonder if he's going to have more of a rock bottom too, or if his insecurity is going to kick in, or will he even wonder about it? Because that guy that he hooked up with originally, when he still was with Frank, was at the actual club, and he goes, "Oh, how do you know about the breakup?" And he's like, "Oh, I see Frank a lot." Like, I don't know what that whole thing is. Is that implying that guy is kind of like seeing Frank now? Like, I'm not sure how that's all working, but it's definitely interesting.
I thought he might have been, or at least they've hooked up.
It felt like it. Yeah, it felt like there was something there. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't passive.
Exactly. There was definitely some reason there. If it was either that or he was trying to kind of ruffle, Augustine. I don't know. But yeah, I took it as like they've definitely been hanging out, having some fun.
Well, what's interesting about Augustine is his leading comment after he told Patrick, "Yo, we just don't have time to really go with your stuff anymore." He's like, I just want to go see Eddie. So Eddie is like really like this light for him. So I'm interested to see where Augustine goes with that whole obsession, maybe, or why is Eddie so interesting to him? Why does he want to hang out with bears? Why is this all becoming a thing? So that's kind of cool.
It's a new direction for him, but hopefully Eddie could be a good influence, maybe if he hits that bottom, because. I don't know. I took Eddie from the first episode as being someone that's trying to do the right thing.
Yes,
and,
such a good person, good heart.
Who knows? We'll have to see what happens. But I do think we got to watch Augustine kind of hit that bottom and turn the corner here. But it was kind of scary to see him at that point. Like, man, just being out in the street like that and being that like messed up is sad. I mean,
frightening.
Myself and like in the past, I've definitely been crazy. But that was like, whoa. And then that's how we get Richie back into the picture, which. Was an interesting creative way of getting him back in the picture. Then like all of a sudden, Patrick just sees him somewhere randomly. I like the fact that they made this happen. That was a good way.
Yeah, that was a good story point. It was a nice bridge. It wasn't silly and cheesy. They so could have gone the cheesy route.
They could have, or the easy route of like, they run into each other. And then I ran into
Patrick
at the bar or the club. So that was good. I mean, it could have been where they met up when Kevin was there, and you could have had more drama. But
oh, that's coming, I'm sure.
We're definitely leading to that because obviously we've got Richie back in the picture because we're leading to this, as we start building up here for the next couple episodes. So,
what do you guys think of that scene, though? Richie played it very cool. He didn't answer the question. Patrick did ask him, are you seeing anybody? And then we have that little bit of a, like, sort of, not teaser, but that sort of implication that he's, got his arm around the other guy. But I don't think, he's with his group of friends. I don't think that was trying to imply that Richie was moved on and was seeing somebody else. Was he? Did you guys take it that way?
I didn't take it that way.
I didn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to kind of put something in to kind of throw the wrench a little bit with Richie to kind of make it harder for him and Patrick to get back together. But obviously, I feel like he's there. He's there for the whole season, so there's going to be an arc with him as well. So
I think the viewing, when you were supposed to watch it, you were supposed to see that and wonder, I wonder if Richie's moved on to the point where he's, engaging with other guys, whatever. He's, he's walking with this group of three, the group of three. But I think more importantly, he didn't answer that question. Are you seeing anybody? It just goes back to again season 1, which I loved season 1, and him saying, "Listen, I'm this close to falling in love with you, but you got to be ready." And it's all that same stuff that spilled into season 2. So I was very happy to see Richie. Yeah. He's definitely like one of my favorite characters, but playing it cool though too. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think he had to. He's got to kind of be a little standoffish in the sense of like what happened in the first season between them. So
And I loved how he played that scene. I think that was so real and so just, this is awkward and this is terrible. And I probably still have lots of feelings for you. You probably still have lots of feelings for me, but I don't want to be vulnerable and I don't want to get hurt again. So I'm just going to be cold and I'm just going to say, thank you for the tea and walk out the door.
And be vague and be a little standoffish and then
absolutely. I got it, you know, and it was so great to see Patrick go, well, are you seeing someone? No, delete, erase. I mean, how many times do we all wish we could hit the delete button on things we've said to exes?
Yes. And Patrick more than most of us.
He said delete. I forgot about that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Patrick is exactly the way we are in
right.
in real life. That's I think why he's the Hannah of girls. He's
absolutely. He's so identifiable.
Yeah, and saying those awkward things and putting his foot in his mouth and everything. But yeah, so I like the fact that they've put him back in here with Richie, and now we're going to see how they're going to deal with the whole storm of brewing here with mixing everybody up in this maelstrom here. So it'll be interesting for sure. Yeah,
I like the way Patrick over the whole episode was kind of about him and his insecurities and wondering, if he's had unprotected sex, this, that, and the other. I like the way it drew out. It was cool for him to possibly go get tested, and then he waited longer. Then he called the lady and said, "Oh, you have a really soothing voice." It just was all Patrick. It felt exactly the moment that you would feel when you knew Patrick was right something. And I liked that we know Patrick this much, coming into season 2, as you guys were saying. We know him so well that we're like, yep, that's exactly. He would talk to the lady, and he would say, we used to watch, what did it say?
Yeah, it was young Angela Lansbury.
Like a young Angela Lansbury.
We're the Murder, She Wrote household. I was like, oh my God, you're so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so it made sense. Like, yep, that's our Patrick. We feel. I almost feel like when we watch the show, we're like part of the three friends. On some level.
Right. But. Exactly, and we can all kind of relate to Patrick and relate to these characters. They kind of fit some of the tropes that you have with gay characters. But I did love too when Patrick goes in for the AIDS test, and then you just totally like, oh yeah, well I lied about on the form, and then he goes into all this. I mean, again, you should be able to tell that you're a health practitioner and everything, but it was just so funny. I was just all nervous, and he's like, yeah, it was just one time, unprotected, and no, he just all over me. It wasn't inside. He's like just rambling on because he was so nervous.
Not inside of myself.
Yeah.
But we throw around the buzzword of brave television a lot, but I felt like this was one of those moments of where just showing the reality of walking out of the closet, doing the little computer thing, answering all of the questions and going in, just so brave to show the reality of that.
Right.
I've been there. I've been in that position. I've felt like that. I've done the whole backtracking thing. Well, yeah, it was once, but no, it wasn't with anyone else. But, I mean, I meant that, and it felt so real. I was shaking watching it.
And it's something people go through. Everyone knows that person, especially, obviously he's come out and everything, but he's still dealing with internalized a little bit of that homophobia a little bit. And just to be able to go on the forum, because when I saw him press gay on the forum, I was like, okay, that's even a big step. Because he could have been so uncomfortable, he might have just said straight. And at first, that's what I thought it was going to do, and that's why they showed the screen.
Oh, interesting.
So I like the fact, because a lot of people, even when they're out, are still struggle with that internalized homophobia. So it was great to see him be able to do that, and I took that as a step in him kind of being more comfortable with himself.
Right.
And being able to go and have the test.
I also like the way the guy who was administering the test too was very clinical, as they are too.
Yep.
When you go in, you feel so. It's funny because you go in with all your emotions and your baggage and your whole life, and yet the person is extremely clinical. They need the questions and they need the answers. That's it.
Exactly. It's all they do all day.
Trying to help you. So that buildup of just literally him saying, "Oh, I lied," and then the guy saying, "Hey, we make mistakes." It was a very real moment.
Right, and also that it was no big deal. That was the other thing I think is important, even for viewers to be able to watch that are watching the show from somewhere middle of the country and may not feel like they have the support and everything, to be able to just see that and see, okay, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
He went in for the test.
It normalized. I mean, I think Blake. It's McIver. Blake, right?
Yes.
Is it Blake?
Blake. Yeah.
Blake, McIver said it. Blake had said it. It sort of normalized that process that we all go through. So that was cool to see, and it will, transcend to the people that are watching, and when they're in that situation, it'll give them a more comfortable sense of doing it.
Exactly.
Even if you walk in there and are as goofy as Patrick,
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was a very important thing for them to do that, because there are a lot of people out there that are watching that might be frightened or scared to be able to go and do a test like that. So it was great that they did that and helped to make it seem like it was, as it should be, a very normal, comfortable, no judgment kind of thing.
So there's our PSA. Go get tested. Exactly. Know your status.
I know. It was the whole the thing on the truck, the placard, the sign was so funny.
I don't remember what it said.
It was, I want to make sure.
Something like.
Yeah, it was like, tell us how you get tested on our truck. It was like so great. And it was just right there on the sign. I'm like, that's great. And I love the way they kind of shot that and you could see the sign. But and then of course as we get closer to wrapping up the episode, I love the way they kind of wrapped it up with Patrick and Kevin.
Oh yeah, it was a lovely bookend because we had that scene at the beginning, and we finally got the dance. We finally got the real dance.
Exactly. So we got the real dance at the end of this episode, which I thought was great to have the bookend, like you said.
We got our take that moment.
Yeah. So good.
It definitely seemed like that complete moment where he, in his mind, he said, "This has got to stop. This is not what I want to do. I really don't like this kind of thing." But you just see his eyes close. He takes a deep breath. He smiles. It's kind of like. It's just like his knowledge of himself. Like, this is not what I want to do, but this is too cute. Like, I just like this so much. And woe is me. What am I going to do? Like, that's going to be the ride. So it's kind of interesting.
And I think that's what's so admirable about this show is that in 22-minute episodes, there's still, even though it's got a very slice of life style, we still have very clear, like, moral points and a good beginning, middle, and end. The writing is fantastic.
And all the different storylines are very specific, and you can see the different directions that each character is going through right now. Like
everybody's got a journey
from their relationships and how they're handling certain things, and that what I think is great too because you can really see the difference.
Yeah.
And
Feels
the
like
good
life.
thing about watching this show is every episode you do have like more of an interest in one of the characters. Obviously Patrick is always the most intriguing, but like right now I'm just really on Dom. I really want to know what's going to happen with that, and I really want to know how Len, continues to address this. Is he going to break down and go to a place and talk about his ex-lover? Like, are these things going to happen? Like that to me is like representing like that grown-up, gay relationship, and I don't think you don't see that as much on TV. Yes, we're starting to see so much of the younger and the party and the woo and the hooking up. That's, it's great for, the community or whatever, but like that grown up and those questions and that history, that's beautiful, man. That's what I'm starting to like about this show.
Right,
absolutely.
And to see those mature relationships, like you said, see the ones that might be slightly different than what you said, going out in the club and getting all messed up and everything else. There's different types of relationships. So, that's one of my thoughts in a minute, but yeah, I think we're supposed to kind of relate with these characters at different points and different times and different stages, and so we might relate to one character more than the other from our own experiences. So that's what I think is great too about this, is that depending on the week or what the characters are going through, we might have more relation with one over the other. So yeah.
I just want the characters to have layers, To be honest, like, I'm not the type of viewer that's going to want to watch it and it just be, hook up. Like, that's not where I'm trying to watch as a viewer, even involved in my own life. Like, so when we see all these other things, it is colorful, and the Dom character just right now, I'm just really interested to see where he's going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see all the stereotypes too, because those are easy and you can do that too. So I like, we want to see deeper part, especially now, we see where we are in relation with the world and what's going on in the world and what's going on here in the country. It's like we want to see more of these real characters, and I think that helps everybody else. Are there any other final thoughts that you guys have from this episode?
I just thought it was funny. I think they're really selling, not necessarily Patrick, but just, little Jonathan Groff is a little sex symbol there, because they got him in the little underwears and the little butt cheeks popping out. I'm just like, come on, Loki. But it's okay. Do what you do. But I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was like, come on with that shot. Like, that shot was just like, come on, all butt. It's like, come on.
Of course, you have to do the butt shot.
It's HBO. You have to do the butt shot. It's literally in the contract.
You have to. At least one an episode.
Show doesn't get greenlit without the butt contract.
Exactly.
No, I thought this was a great episode. I think we're really off to a great season 2. I'm excited to see where the characters go. I'm excited to see. I'm kind of excited for the drama. Actually, I'm excited for the Kevin disaster, Patrick, Richie love triangle. I just hope it's epic, because it should be. These characters deserve it.
I don't think. I'm sorry to cut you off. Like,
no, you're fine.
I don't think we talked about the girl too much. I mean, unless I was missing it when I was calling in. And she met the guy.
You mean with Doris?
Doris, yes.
Yeah.
Doris met somebody.
Someone. We'll see how that's going to
Let's hope it happens.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, we know it happens from the trailer.
Right. Yeah, from the tease. But yes, I mean, because she deserves it too.
She totally didn't. Go to. What did he say? Like, oh, you go to this. winery. What was his pickup line?
Oh, it was something like the opera. Or it was something
theater,
like really hoity-toity.
Yeah, some random thing.
But the place that she said, yeah, I go, that's totally not the place that she goes. But I thought that was so cool because we always see her as being like jokey and raw and raunchy. I think it'll be cool for her to step back and be like, oh, vulnerable. Like,
she was finally caught off guard.
Yeah, it's like she hangs out with her boys. She doesn't really have the chance of getting laid with that situation.
Right.
And now her guard has to go down because now she gets to be in the game a little bit.
Exactly, which is good for her because, again, she's been so closed off all last season. So it's good to have her have that moment, too.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so I guess we'll move into predictions then.
Predictions.
For next week, next couple episodes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, Ronnie, predict something. Putting you on the spot since you're calling in.
I predict that the teaser kind of made it imply that, Richie got to hang out with Augustine. He shaved his beard or clipped him up or whatever. And it was supposed to be like, ooh, as if, maybe they're going to have a moment. I totally do not think they're going to have a moment. I do think that there will be a rift possibly between Augustine. Augustine's the kind of guy that gets fed up, a lot, and he's dealing with his own stuff. And now if you get Frank, looming in the back of his head, mixed with the Eddie thing, Patrick's little, BS or little insecurities, it's just going to get tiring. We all want our friends to be honest with us, but we don't want our friends to bring us down either. So maybe a rift between them two. Dom and Lynn, I don't know, but that's the most interesting for me right now. I can't wait to see what they do next episode.
I predict that Dom is going to have to use some of Lynn's money to cover the 80 grand for the chicken's window, and that's going to cause relationship problems. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you because I think he is going to have to go that route again. Maybe he'll surprise us and somehow get a loan, but I do think he's going to go that way, and it's going to add friction again to the relationship. And I still feel like the open relationship at some point is going to cause some issues. But I like what you said, Ronnie, about the whole thing with Richie and Augustine, because I'm like, are they going to hook up is it going to be like out of spite with Richie with Patrick? Is it going to be because Augustine's going through a crazy moment too? Like I could see that realistically happening, especially with the whole three-way thing that's being set up, love triangle with Patrick. So it would be interesting to see if that happens. I do think Augustine's going to kind of have to go off the deep end and really hit rock bottom these next couple episodes. And I do think we're just waiting for that storm to make landfall between this love triangle thing, because it's not going to be able to last too much longer. It's that foundation is a little shaky now. It's going to fall, so it's going to be fascinating to see that.
Do we have Frank coming back at all this season? I think he filmed his character. The actor filmed about one episode.
I think he did, and
is that correct?
I think you are correct, and I would love to see OT back. He was great, and he was actually on here with us last year.
Nice.
Yeah, for the first season as a guest. So yes, it would be great to have him come back, and even if it's just for an episode to kind of shake things up a little bit. Because again, I do think Augustine's going to be our most crazy
erratic I want Eddie
character
to come back too.
Yeah.
He needs to find Eddie.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I definitely want Eddie to come back. So we'll see. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'd like to just see something culminate. Either someone, which I love, because of marriage equality and everything, I'd love to see someone get engaged or something happen by the end of this season. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Scott, I definitely am just a little interested. Like I said, I watched episode 1 of Girls and episode 1 of Looking, and I just was like a little I don't know. And again, I do feel like with this Netflix inception, so many, seasons are being pushed out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a show like Looking, I could watch episode 1 and 2 and I love it, but watching it week by week by week by week, it's just, I don't know if they're making shows differently now. Like, they're not as intriguing. It's just a concern of mine. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what they're doing, but I just know I was left a little lower with episode 1 on both. But as a season culmination, it is pretty cool. So it's just a thought.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes the rest of the season. We have no idea either. Pick up for season 3. It's too early to say. So, there's a lot but I'm just saying there's a lot of things they would have to do. I think they will be picked up for season 3, but I'm like, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other can of worms, and how they would be able to work the episodes out and the characters and everything. So we'll see. So Ronnie, where can they find you in the meantime between here and the next episode?
Oh God, I'm not doing the social media thing right now, but I am calling into Looking every week. So
all right. All right. So everyone just has to wait.
We can find you here.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait the entire week to be able to hear your voice. Okay. We see how it is.
Yeah.
What about you, Blake? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Blake McIver.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at SMan80. That's SMan80. And here on Thursday nights for Archer, with our review. And unfortunately, I won't be here the next 2 weeks. I'm sorry, guys. I have to go to travel for work. Again, work overrated. But I'll be back in a couple weeks, and I know you will be back here next week.
I will.
And Kylie should be back, too.
Yes.
So it'll be great to have Kylie back from season 1 as well, and Kelly.
And Kelly, we'll have a great time.
Yeah. So until then, guys, have a fantastic, fantastic week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.